Hi, I would like to bring you up to date on what I've been doing over the past couple of months on the Millie Bob build. It's been a while since I posted a video, and the main reason for that is down to these push rods, which have been incredibly difficult to actually make. In particular, getting all the bends, the Z bends at the end, as well as the bends that connect onto the balsa push rods, and then the other Z bends at the final end. It's taken an incredible amount of time just to get these to the correct length, get them seating onto the servo arms inside, and making sure that they're exiting the model in the right place as well. It's been very frustrating, but I think I've finally got there, and now I've got two push rods which are two lengths and will actually fit inside. Now, in hindsight, I should probably have used a connector at the end here called a clevis, which would be on a threaded metal end, so that I can make final adjustments a lot easier than just trying to get it right first time with the whole push rods. But having said that, it's been a learning experience, so I think I've gained a lot of building skills in putting these together. As you can see on one of them, I've actually wrapped it in thread, and I've soaked it in super glue cyano as well. That's simply just to strengthen it, because I didn't want it to flex under bending when it's trying to push either the rudder or the elevator up or down. So for the model itself, I finished covering it, and covering it has actually made it incredibly stiff. It's been a very pleasant job to do this, and I've put a fairly nice color scheme on it of white, red and black. Nice kind of black nose, red body and white tail on it, and this should then match up nicely with the black control surfaces that I have on the tail fin and the color scheme that I have on the wings themselves. Other stuff that I've done, I'm not sure you can actually see it here on the video, but I have put the acetate on the windows. I've done the sides, both sides, and I've also done here at the back. I haven't put it in the front yet because I still need to just build the hatch cover that sits on here and gets hooked into this cross beam here. Once I've got this hatch cover made, I'll finish the acetate front screen on this. When the acetate itself is very thin, it's only about 1 millimeter too thick, so I've simply just used scissors to cut it to shape. And once it was cut to shape, I drilled out the holes for the wing dowels and pushed those wing dowels through and then cut them to length. I've given myself quite a nice bit of length here on the wing dowels in order to make sure that the elastic bands that I use have enough area and length to grip on in order to hold the wing in place. Now, in order to mount the tail surfaces onto the back end of the plane, you must make sure that you have removed any covering from any areas which you're going to be bonding and gluing. So I've just cut out that nice triangle, which will sit right on the tail end of the plane. And I've also cut a strip out, and this is where the tail fin goes as well. So that means that the glue is always bonding with balsa and not on the cover, because the cover is not a strong bond between the balsa and the material itself. Once I've got this set up into a configuration that I'm happy with, and I've got my push rods in, I will use a 30-minute epoxy to glue these into position. And I do that as it gives me plenty of time for adjustments. So I'm just going to rough assemble the plane now, and I'll walk you through the adjustments that I need to make. Now I have dry assembled the wings and the tail feathers in place. I just wanted to show you what I've done here. It is a simple rubber band setup for holding the wings in place. I've used 7-inch bands front to back, and then on the outside and going across the other side, its opposite side, I have an 8-inch band, and these ones here will ensure that these don't slip off. I'll probably use a couple more of these when I'm setting up for flight, but for the moment this will do. Now, one of the first pieces that need to be assembled are the tail feathers. So I'll first organize that the horizontal stabilizer is true to the surface, so the same distance at each tip to the table. Once I'm happy with that, I then need to make sure that this point here, at the leading edge, and this point here are the same distance from the nose of the plane. And once I'm happy with that, I'll tape it into position, and that'll cure off true. For the vertical stabilizer and the rudder, I'll do a similar thing of gluing it into position and then checking that this angle and that the angle the opposite side are exactly 90 degrees in a true right angle. And I'll also then check its alignment. As you can see, it's slightly off there because it's only loose. So I'll make sure that it is running actually true with the center of the model. Now the wings themselves have no kind of catch, latch or slot system in order to ensure that they're always aligned every time. So what I'll do probably out in the field is ensure that the distance between the wingtip on either side is the same when measured from the top of the tail fin. I might just pop a little pin in there and use a piece of thread to either corner and make sure that they're both the same. I might also, in order to make this a little easier for me, mark somewhere along here and possibly on the front as well the locations of these black solar film edges, and then I know that if I line those up, I'll be pretty close to having the wing true and level. Also, another important thing to make sure of is that the wingtips are each the same height from the ground on either side. If one of them is slightly higher, slightly lower than the other, I might just pack in just underneath the wing where it meets the fuselage with a little piece of foam strip to make sure that both wingtips are exactly aligned. So I'm going to press on with that. That can take a little while in order to get all the push rods in and particularly the tail end set up. And once I have all that, I'll be very close to setting it out on its first flight. See you soon.